Hey, it's Rebecca Smith from the KBIA newsroom in Columbia, and it's time for Missouri Health Talks, a project where we listen in on Missourians' conversations about access to health care. For the month of February, we're focusing on Moberly and Randolph County, where I met Ashley Swon. She's a therapist with Crossroads Counseling LLC, who's recently started doing in-home therapy sessions to meet the needs of parents whose kids have been taken into foster care. Here's Ashley.
The system does really focus on the children, and that's great and that's needed, but I think we kind of dehumanize the parents and we assume that they don't care and that they're just bad people and bad parents. I will tell you 100% of the clients I have worked with in the children's division system have been really great people who've just had some really bad life circumstances. Just because someone has their children removed doesn't mean that they did anything. There's a process in which, the state investigates to see if something did actually happen, and then they either, the kids either go back home or they stay in foster care for a little bit longer. But there's a process there. And so just because someone's had their children removed doesn't mean that they committed any kind of child abuse or any crime or neglect or anything like that. A lot of times I think the only thing going on is poverty. It's that we don't have access to resources. And I think mental health is another big one. I've had parents have their children removed for things like unsanitary living conditions, and I can only assume that that's probably due to some depression, because once we start going in counseling, I'm starting to realize that, we've got some undiagnosed anxiety or depression. And for moms, especially single moms without a support system, that's huge. I mean, women struggle postpartum with anxiety, depression, and sometimes it can take years to recover from that. And when you add poverty and lack of resources, a lack of a support system on top of that, it can make it really difficult to parent. And so I'm really glad that we're able to serve this population. I love being able to advocate for them and help them, get back on track so that they can be the kind of parent that they want to be. I think to look at the big picture, we know that attachment is so important. Like we've learned in the mental health field in the last several years that attachment with our primary caregiver is one of the most important indicators of health later on in life, not just mental health, but overall health. And I think if you look at the big picture and the trickle-down effect in the community as well, when we take a child away from their primary parent, even when there's some problems there, and we put them into foster care or we adopt them out, that trauma occurs. And there might be cases where that's needed and we have to, and then we work through that. But that is very, very traumatic to both the child and the parent. And so I think if we can invest in families and keep them together and help them with the resources they need, we're not only helping that family, but there's this trickle-down effect society-wide.
That was Moberly resident and therapist Ashley Swon with Crossroads Counseling LLC, speaking about her work with foster system-involved families, especially with parents in Randolph County. That's it for this week's Missouri Health Talks. Tune in next week for more conversations from throughout the state about health and access. I'm Rebecca Smith. Thanks for listening.